All right, everybody, it's Pass Coverage Thursday. We're just going to go ahead and jump right in, starting with the linebackers. You may notice that there are a few new names this week because I decided to finally go ahead and throw a couple of guys in because they are playing, and it's important to see how they're doing. But you guys pretty much know how this goes by now, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. We're going to see who was leaky and who held up in coverage. All right, so starting off with Bobby Wagner, he got targeted, I believe, yeah, 6 times and allowed 5 completions for a grand total of 55 yards. So it was okay, not his best at all. Wagner was definitely a guy who I noticed is not playing all that well on Sunday against the Bears. Not really a fan of what I've seen from Wagner the last 2 games, to be perfectly honest. You can see that all these snaps that he's playing, I think it is starting to wear on him, and it is. I know he might get to 200 tackles this year, but it seems like he is slowing down as this year goes on a little bit. I've noticed things in his game that I wasn't noticing before. So, not a terrible game, but not really a good one for Wagner in coverage. And Jordan Brooks, I believe, got targeted, let's see here, 8 times, so he did get picked on a little bit, but he allowed, what was it, 6 completions, and it was only for 40, excuse me, 42 yards. Not the worst, not great. Given the fact that he was targeted 8 times, I'm going to be a little more lenient with him and say that he probably held up fairly well. Brooks is a guy who's looked like a star the last couple games for sure. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Brooks. We know that he's a flawed player in coverage. We know that. But if he can be that level for the foreseeable future, then I'm not going to have a ton to complain about. So Brooks held up all right overall this season. Obviously, he's been getting beat up pretty bad in coverage, but it's not unexpected, and we have to remember he's playing out of position. Benson Mayowa, new name that I've added to this list because he drops into coverage so much. We got to do it. So Mayowa has been targeted 11 times this year, 8 completions for 64 yards and a touchdown. Honestly, I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit higher, but hey, it's not awful. His QB rating allowed is pretty awful, but small sample size, not the worst thing in the world. And no other linebacker was targeted in coverage. So no matter how you slice it, it is the linebackers who are a bigger problem in coverage this year compared to like the cornerbacks and the safeties. I want to see what Jordan Brooks can do when he moves to middle. So hopefully we get that next year. One of many reasons why I think it's time to move on from Wagner. Okay, cornerback, and we also have a new name here because so many of our cornerbacks that we were expecting to have, we don't have. DJ Reed was out. Trey Flowers is in Cincinnati. Bless you, Austin out. Trey Brown out. Marquise Blair out. It's thin. So we're left with Sidney Jones, who got picked on a little bit against the Bears. They targeted him 7 times, 5 completions for about 38 yards. Not terrible. Not terrible. Given the fact that he was basically forced to be a number one corner because DJ Reed was out, I think he did okay. I think he did all right. His PFF grade has improved with every game he's played, and I think Sidney Jones has more to be proud of right now than he has to be ashamed about. I guess you could put it that way. So Sidney played good, like what I'm seeing from Sidney still. And then you had Ugo Amadi, who played, in my opinion, one of the worst games he has played as a Seahawk. He got targeted 5 times and allowed 4 completions for a total of 57 yards. And that's not including his penalties and his missed tackles. So Ugo, look, last year I was talking about Ugo. One thing I said about Ugo was that it felt like he could be the next great nickel corner in Seattle with guys like Thurmond, Lane, Coleman. It hasn't happened this year, and I'm pretty out on him. So Ugo, not a bad player necessarily. He definitely played bad on Sunday, but he's not turned into the good player that I was hoping for. And that game should be kind of the punctuation mark on his season. Just not good. Not a good game. And the final guy is John Reed, who is a new addition to this list because he had to play because Bless You Austin was out. And he did okay. I'm not going to dog on a dude for struggling a little bit in his first real action, first big action this year. He got targeted 8 times, allowed 4 completions for 41 yards, and the game-winning touchdown. So the touchdown. Look, there are a lot of cornerbacks in the league who are going to get boxed out at the goal line by Jimmy Graham. I don't know how much shame there is in that, but he did get boxed out by Jimmy Graham. I feel like overall he played a pretty passable game. I'm not putting really much of anything on him. But you can see they went after him a little bit, and they had limited success. So I'm going to say John Reed, decent. And we've gotten to the point of the cornerback depth chart where it's just really hard to hold anything against anybody outside of Reed and Amadi, because so many of these guys, like was Sidney Jones supposed to have a role this big when the season started? Hell no. Bless you on Austin. The fact that he gets COVID and we're like, oh crap, is like that is such a bad spot. So John Reed, the fact that he was able to go out there and not embarrass himself, I think is pretty good. And that leaves us with just the safeties, so Quandary Digs and Ryan Neal. Quandary Diggs got targeted a little bit in this game. 4 targets against, 3 completions for about 30 yards. 30 yards. Didn't allow a touchdown. Still has his 5 interceptions. Still having a great year. Still being a Pro Bowler. Solid game from Quandary. Nothing to really complain about there. His QB rating allowed is still 49.4. And that leaves us only with Ryan Neal, who... yeah, he's not really doing the stuff in coverage right now. He got targeted 3 times against the Bears, 2 completions. One of those completions was a touchdown, 29 yards allowed total. QB rating allowed, 125. So to those of you out there, and I know you exist, who think that Ryan Neal is better than Jamal Adams, this strikes me as fairly compelling evidence that that's simply not the case. I know Jamal isn't everything we wanted him to be, but it's really kind of hard for me to look at coverage metrics like this and come to any conclusion other than, quite simply, Jamal Adams is leagues better than Ryan Neal. And while I know we like Ryan Neal around here, I appreciate some of the things that he can do. I don't think he's a terrible player. But now that he's having to play full time, I think some things with him are getting exposed, and he's not the future stud safety or possibly even cornerback that some people were dreaming about. But that's about it for this week. Pretty much the same as usual. We're down to the nub at cornerback, really. So props to those guys for holding up even a little bit. And the linebackers continue to be the main reason why we're getting picked apart. And that's really all I got for this one. So see you guys later. Peace out. Go Hawks.